Everyone in Brownsville has a story to tell. These are their stories. You're listening to Brownsville Matters, KXIQ 105.1's podcast show, where we learn a little about everything from all walks of life from the wonderful people in our community. Our next guest helps bring local creative projects to life by being an independent producer and film director. John Robert Jew Jr., welcome to Brownsville Matters.
How's it going, Gabriel?
So far, so good. I feel like it's a little too easy to start off the show with a question like, what does a producer actually do? So I'm going to pose the question like this by bringing in one of the most, for better or for worse, notorious cartoons of the 1990s, Ren and Stimpy.
Okay.
There is one particular episode. Are you familiar with the show?
Yeah.
Okay. For listeners who may not be familiar, it was a children's show, a so-called children's show that aired on Nickelodeon in the 90s, known for its edgy humor. And there was one episode where Stimpy, the cat, wants to make a cartoon. Then Ren sees an opportunity to be a producer. Stimpy, in his naive ignorance, asks, what does a producer actually do? To which Ren replies, a producer is the guy who tells the artist what to do, and when the cartoon's done, he takes all the credit. John, do you agree, disagree? Is there somewhere in between? What exactly, in your opinion, does a producer do?
I actually agree. And and to the extent that you go into it knowing that, right? So
Yes.
you go into it knowing that whatever you do, it's all going to fall on the director, right? It's
Yes.
all going to fall back on whatever the director says, whatever the director does.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing what the director wants. So basically the way I see producer is you do the hidden work so he didn't have to worry so much and he can just worry about the actual product itself, right? The film.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do a lot of that. And I don't do it as much now because now I've moved over here, but I do have films that are in the film festival circuit,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm actually directing. I started my directorial debut with a skateboard film called The Texas Brigade, Surviving the
Ooh.
Grind.
Wow, wonderful. So you said you moved from here. Am I understanding that you're originally from somewhere else?
No, I'm from here, and I moved to Austin in 1998.
Okay, you moved back then.
Yeah, I moved back.
Gotcha.
So, but I was gone long enough that I can say that I've lived both lives, right?
Yes.
So, in Austin, I went over there to dabble in film, but I had kids eventually, but then I started by being a band manager. So I was a band manager, and I said, okay, I'm gonna do bands, and then I'll get into film. I'll start meeting the right people and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Band management carried on for a while. So, and then I ended up meeting Robert Rodriguez. I was a manager at ATB, and I got to talk to him, and I would see him almost every time he'd come in shopping with his little kids. They were all little at the time, and I met him last year, and I told him the story, but he always said, just stick to it. You'll do it one day, and he goes, never give up. Right?
Wow.
And he signed a little card for me and told me like, never give up. And sure enough, I was in 2018. 2018 we met and we started talking about a short film that we had called Beware.
With Mr. Robert.
No.
Oh.
Sorry. That was with Boudreaux. So Boudreaux Partida had called me, and he's been doing production forever. He started here at KVEO, and he went over up to Austin and did it for CBS and whatnot. And he called me and said, hey, we have a new film that I'm going to work on. And it's called Beware. It's WEWERE, like werewolf.
Okay, gotcha.
So it was like, it's written by Joey Lynch, the comedian here in Austin. And he goes, you know, come out and meet so we can all start working on something together. And at the time, my little daughter was still really young. And all the other kids were a little bit older. They were in high school and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I can actually get out and go do that. So we met and we had that out. We did that short, and it was a horror comedy short.
Mm-hmm.
And that was on Amazon Prime for 2 years.
Very good.
and our festival year was supposed to be 2020. So we're gonna go to I think it was Seattle, and a couple other places had called us, and we were gonna go out and just we're gonna take this movie on the road. And well, the world shut down, right? So when the world shut down, we had talked about. Buder had met with me a while back and said, "There's this product I have called Bloody and Bruised. It's the untold story of the back room, right?" And it was about the back room being on Riverside in Austin. It's an old club that was closed in 2006.
The back room is a club.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the back room was around for like 30 years. And it started as a country club. It went through every genre almost.
Wow.
And so I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. But he goes, well, you know from band management, you know who to reach out to, you know who to contact and all that stuff. So I was like, yeah, well, let's do it whenever we can. And he goes, well, let's write out a list and see what we would do if we ever did it. And so I wrote a list and said, these are the people we're going to contact and whatever. We never knew how we were going to do it. We're just like, we're going to write it down and we'll just go to it when we can. So we shot Beware and the world shut down. So that's when Boudreaux, he texted me, he goes, dude, I think this is our time. And what happened is we didn't know we were going to get artists. So we had big artists on board. We had John Moore from Disturbed. We had the guys from Blue October. We had Kevin Fowler. And we were like, when are these guys going to be not touring, right? So when the world shut down, we were like, dude, everybody's home right now. And everybody's itching to do something, right? Like I think like a month or two had gone by. And then we wanted to shoot at a different venue that was Austin related throughout the entire time, right? So we're like, we'll shoot a different venue, an interview in a different venue that's related to Austin. But the venues were all open. So you pick up noise like pouring ice or whatever. So we can't just shut down a venue, right? So we're like, okay. But now everything seemed to be falling into place. So while everybody had a thing that happened during COVID, we had ours like bloom because we're like, dude, let's go shoot the movie now. So so that one thing led to another. We ended up shooting that for 4.5 years. And, we had John Moore, Kevin Fowler. Kevin Fowler is actually a guitar player for Dangerous Toys.
Oh,
so that's how he first started. And so we had all these people come out and do it, and it took 4.5 years to shoot. We finally got around to going on the festivals and doing that. So for that, we could only afford a 1-year festival run, right? Because there's like 60 licensed tracks on there. We learned our lesson from licensed tracks, right? So even though we have local people that donated their songs, or we had to pay them $1,
sure,
we had stuff that cost like $5,000 or $10,000
per song
for a 1-year festival run. So we're not even it's not even putting it on distribution or anything, right? It's just a 1-year run. So we were like, oh man. So we had one executive producer that actually interviewed in the film. His name is Ray Seggern. He used to be on the radio. And then now we needed, because we shot we went back and we shot reenactment scenes. So we had reenactments in the movie. And then we had, we wanted to go back and now we needed to pay for festival rights, right? So we got a second executive producer named David Moskowitz. And with him, we were able to pay for the 1 year. We said, okay, let's see what happens in that year. And if everything goes well, then, we'll see what we can do to further, the process. So we went on tour for a year. We brought it here. Gabriel came and watched it, and we came with Joey from Moon Loco from Harlingen.
Okay.
Yeah. He was in a metal band that was new metal back in the day. And, he was a big member of the back room. They would play there a lot. So we came here with him. We had a big party and all that stuff. And, we brought that on the road. So when that was already getting to the end of the festival run, we were actually had one more festival to go to in Athens. I think it was Athens, Georgia.
Athens, Georgia. Okay.
Sorry. And and that was in August, right? So I came over here to bring my mom my mom retired. So I drove her down, and my daughter came with me because she's like, yeah, I'll go with you. I want to go to the beach before school starts. And that was last August, right? And we came down in August 2025. And I told her, yeah, we'll fly back together. And she'd never flown before, right? So like, okay. She was excited. She was nervous, but we we came down and I bought her tickets to go fly back. And what happened was on the next day, we were going to go to the beach that morning. Then I was here hanging out, drinking coffee, and I had a stroke in the bathroom.
Ooh.
So it wasn't a stroke to the heart. It was because, or anything related to the heart, right? It was, what I had was an AVM, which was, I had it since I was born. And I never knew because I'm always taking vitamins. I'm always, doing stuff to try and stay healthy.
What is an AVM?
So I don't know what it stands for. My wife knows really good because she works for the medical board. But,
I see.
But it's an aneurysm basically. It's the blood vessels get all like intertwined, and they can actually cause bleeding when you stress out, when you get overstressed, right?
Whoa.
And so that the AVM, whatever the conduction of the blood vessels is, it bled when I was in the shower getting ready to go to the beach.
Oh.
So what that put into perspective is, like, I could have been on the way to the beach. I could have been, because I was going to drive, right? It was just me and my daughter only.
Oh.
I could have been at the beach with just my daughter,
Right.
Or anything could have happened, but it happened in the morning.
Yeah, or in the water in the beach.
Right.
Yes.
I could have been anything.
Yes.
And I had drank a really strong coffee because my grandmother drinks like instant coffee.
Oh.
And I kept telling myself that it was the coffee, right? I think it was the coffee. But what was happening was in the shower, I kept dropping the bottles.
Oh,
and I was like, dude, what is wrong with me?
Something's up.
But I couldn't, and the thing is that you don't talk. You're thinking when you're in the shower usually.
Right.
So I kept thinking like, this is weird. And I locked the door. So then I said, okay, I'm not going to mess with this. I don't know why I keep dropping it, but I'm going to go. Oh, my mom knocked and was like, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Or I said, yeah, or something. I know I didn't say, yeah, I'm fine. I responded to her somehow. Sure. And then I got out and I unlocked the door because I was like, is this weird? Is there something weird's happening to me? And I would make sure the door's unlocked. So I started drying up and I went to the room and I was in my room getting dressed. I was sitting down. I was like, feels weird, but I hadn't talked yet.
Okay.
So my daughter came. She's like, Daddy, are you almost ready to go? And that's when I couldn't talk.
Oh.
And I was like, and my mom's like, what's going on? And I don't know, right? I'm like, for one, I've never been to the doctor since I was in high school, right? Like I never thought I had to go to the doctor for anything. So I'm not on my wife's insurance. I'm not in anything because I'm like, dude, I don't do that. And
sure.
I hate needles for one, right? So when my daughter's like, call an ambulance. And my mom's like, well, hold on. My girl was like, no, call an ambulance now. So then my mom's like, okay, an ambulance is on the way. So you want to wait in the living room. So I had my swimming trunks on. And I was like, okay. So I went to the living room and I waited. And they got there. By the time I made it to the living room, they're already there. So
wow.
What happened was I didn't know what was wrong. I had no clue. And I was scared. And I was definitely scared to go in an ambulance. I'd never been in one. And I was scared to go to the hospital because I didn't know what they were going to do. I'm not home. My wife's not here. And so many things were playing in my head, but I couldn't talk. And so I was trying to explain, but my right hand, I couldn't write either because my right side had kind of gone out.
Okay.
So so I was trying to say like, I don't know what's wrong. And they couldn't, they were like, well, they were trying to ask me questions and I couldn't understand. I couldn't answer them because I couldn't talk.
I see. So
then I just said, okay, well, whatever they're doing, my mom was trying to talk for me. My daughter was trying to talk. And then they just kind of connected the needles in me. And they said, no, we got to take him into the hospital because he's got to be checked. So at that moment in time, I sat in the ambulance and I didn't know. I know my wife was back home. My mom and my daughter said, "I'll meet you at the hospital." So now I'm in an ambulance with a paramedic, I guess, right? And she said, she goes, "Just stay calm. Whatever you do, but I was really nervous because I was getting needles put in me or whatever. And I was like, "What's wrong with me?" I wanted to say that, but it wouldn't come out. And she goes, "Just stay calm. All you got to know is just stay calm the entire time." She goes, "We got this," right? So then the ambulance driver took off to the hospital here, and she stuck with me the whole time. She was telling me, people start coming up to you like, "Let me see your credentials. Let me see your insurance card. Let me see this. Let me see that." And I couldn't communicate, right? So she stayed with me the entire time trying to talk for me.
Oh my gosh.
And that I was really fortunate that she was there because I don't know what I would have done. Like it's really crazy that had happened. But she was trying to talk for me, and then my mom got there with my daughter, and then my wife was on the phone. So now I'm trying to talk to my wife and I can't. So I'm just like, get over here. And my daughter says that I had tears in my eyes, like I was like frustrated, I guess.
Right.
But they were all telling me, just stay calm. You got to stay calm. So I didn't know what was going on, and they said all of a sudden we have to run him to Harlingen, and so I'm thinking, so after we get let me backtrack. After we get back from here, me and my daughter, then I'm taking off to Athens, Georgia, like days later, right?
Oh, for the festival.
For the festival. That we had one last festival for the movie, which is called Bloody and Bruised, the Untold Story of the Backroom. We were gonna go do that, and then I had the next morning I had a scouting to go do with a commercial client that we had, and that was in another little town. So I was constantly that busy. Like I had to go here, go there. I'm sorry, I'm leaving. I'll be back next weekend. All of a sudden, I'm stuck and I'm in the hospital, and I'm heading to Harlingen for whatever reason, right? And that's when they told me. She said, "There's something in your brain that you've had since you were born." And I said, "Okay," but and funny thing is that I thought of Jason Fry, and Jason Fry had he had, I think it was brain cancer. He had something in his brain, and he started a documentary down here in Brownsville.
Okay, Jason Fry is local.
Jason Fry is local, and he started a skateboarding documentary in the Valley. And he got sick, and it's been on hold and whatnot. But I thought of him and all the stuff that he went through, and I was like, oh man, they're gonna open me up. And I was, but she said, don't think about that. Let's just you stay calm. We're gonna go to Harlingen and see what they can do. Just stay calm. She all she would ever say was stay calm, and I listened to her. I was, okay, she sounded really. What they told me later, when I met her, now that I can talk and all this stuff, and she was, they said she has a really like motherly tone. She can like just control you by just talking to you, right?
I see.
And I was fortunate that I got her. I could have gotten anybody, and I'm not sure how people are, but you can get somebody really mean. You can get somebody that like, why don't you talk? But I don't know any of that because I've never been in that. But I got her, and so I stayed calm, and I was okay. Whatever she says is what I'm gonna do. And when I was thinking when they put me through all this stuff, and they said we gotta go check you out. And fast forward, they got the AVM out, and they left like a little percentage of it because they said the 5% that stays behind, if we got it, it could mess up my speech worse. Or he said that we mess with it, if we get any closer, he says we can mess up your speech and your mobility, right?
Because it's attached to the brain.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was on the speech side of the brain, which I think it's the left, right?
Okay.
And I'm not sure, but it's a speech and mobility side, right? And so at that moment in time, I was like, well, that's crazy because I'd never been sick. I get sick like once every 5 years, like fever, right? But I'm always taking vitamins. I'm always trying to stay healthy, but then I got something, right? Now I'm like, okay, well, it happens to all of us, right? So with that being said, the doctor, he was able to control himself and say, I'm going to leave 5% in there and see if it'll kill itself, because brain cells tend to kill themselves in time, right?
Okay.
Or they can regenerate, whatever they have.
Okay.
So my wife's like, okay, well, whatever you got to do, you do. So I went in not knowing what they were going to do because they hadn't really told me much. But I was confident that my wife made it up here that next day, right? She was here that morning, and whatever they were going to do was going to be okay because my wife had told me everything was going to be fine. my mom, my daughter, everybody was. So when I came out, I remember I couldn't talk, I couldn't move a lot. Like I couldn't grab anything. I couldn't make any muscles with this hand. This one barely. And I was like, man, what happened to me? And so that's when my wife told me, they came over here and the doctor showed me all the layout or whatever you were doing, right? And this is what they left behind. They left 5% behind. And in the future, I'm supposed to go back in and get a test and see what they do. Just like 6 months down the road, right? So like, okay, well, I couldn't talk yet. And it took a long time for me to be able to get back into normal. She goes, we're going to get you speech therapy. We're going to get you whatever you need. I'm going to get us a house here. By the time we get out of the hospital, we're going to be staying here for a while and whatnot. And I'm thinking, man, I got to go to Athens in a couple of days, right?
Oh no.
So I think it was Athens, Georgia. Well, anyway, all got taken care of. She got a house down here, and I got out of the hospital and went to a hotel room for like a week. And yeah, so then we won actually best documentary at that festival.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and Boudreaux sent the trophy with my wife when she went and moved our stuff over for me to have, and that was really cool. And but that was the last one that we did for that movie, and I've been down here ever since. But when that was in the editing phase, we had gone on the road with Bull, who's also we made a movie about Bull. He's from Spain, and Bull came over here to make a Spanish name for himself in rock and roll.
Okay.
And so that movie is now in the festival circuit. That's called I Took the Road Less Traveled. And like he was playing everywhere. He played the Bike Fest in Daytona. He played, a lot of in Chicago and the Midwest, and he was really well known up there. And he was living here in Austin. Then he ended up moving to Nashville toward sometime in 2024, and I helped him go up there, and we did all that stuff. And he sponsored by Gibson, and so we did a movie on him and his entire drive to play American rock and roll and make his name for himself. And that one is on the film festival circuit now. So while I was getting better, we had when I was getting better, we came back, and I was able to talk, and we were finally getting this movie to premiere before we hit the festival. So I went up to Nashville in December, and we premiered it at the Gibson Garage in Nashville, and then we premiered in Austin as well on my birthday.
Hey.
So yeah, so that was pretty cool, and so we did that, and then we sent it on the festival run. So I've already been up there for a festival, and yeah, so that one's hopefully going to get sold soon. We'll see what happens with that, but we're still waiting for the other one to get picked up by somebody, and eventually it might be a streaming service. We did a lot with the Sims Foundation and that, and so Boudreaux Partida runs Penny Rock Productions, and I do producer for him in Penny Rock. So we do a lot of music videos. We do some commercial work that I have been able to do with him, and then we do all these movies, right? But when we went up to LA in 2025, last January, we went in to shoot Dangerous Toys getting inducted in the Metal Hall of Fame. And while we were doing that, Jason McMaster told Boudreaux, he said, "Hey man, are you going to be part of the new documentary they're making on the Watchtower?" So Watchtower was the band he had before Dangerous Toys.
Okay.
And Boudreaux's like, "No, but what's going on?" And he's like, "Well, Ray called me." And Ray was our executive producer for Bloody and Bruised. Had called him, and he wanted to keep making movies, so he wanted to go into this documentary about Watchtower. And Boudreaux's like, "Well, let me call Ray and whatever when we get back, and we'll see about making that." So he was going to call Ray when he got back from California, and they had a meeting, and they ended up calling this Energetic Resistance: Decoding the Story of Watchtower. So he went to go do that, and I said, "Okay, well, I I've been around this documentary stuff for a couple of features, and maybe I make my own feature, right? And do my directorial debut, and what could I do if I did that? So I started thinking back, and Tommy, who was also in Bloody and Bruised, Tommy used to skate before he did music, right? So in the 70s. So I called Tommy and I said, hey, Tommy, I've always wanted to do a skateboard documentary because when I lived here, I skated.
Yeah.
And it held a huge area in my life. Like I didn't skate as long and I don't skate anymore, but it meant so much to me and the people that we hung out with and everything that we went through was just huge. It wasn't like anything else, right? And it was the thing that we had here that I liked because we had such a big group. Like we would go out in one weekend and we'd cover all of Boca Chica, like all of us skating and go do stuff, right? Like everybody skated that we knew. And but then I moved away and I didn't do it anymore, and I had kids and whatnot. So I said, hey man, I want to do a documentary on skateboarding. And I want to do a thing kind of like we did with Bloody and Bruised, where we passed it on to the kids. I want to do something like that. Like we wanted, the other one, we wanted to show the kids that there was a venue. The venue is Emo's now. It's Emo's Austin. It used to be the back room on the same place, right?
I see.
So people go there to see commercial bands. But we want to tell the kids there was something here before that, right? So my thing with skateboarding is I want to pass it on to the kids and show the kids that, hey, a lot of older people did it too. Yeah. And a lot of older people still do it. And we're all getting old and sadly we're going away.
You have to pass it on.
But we have to pass it on. So that started really cool because Tommy's like, I'm in. I want to be your executive producer. So we were on the way to Nashville and I talked to Boudreaux about it. And we were on the way to Nashville to shoot the scenes in Nashville I took the road less traveled. And I told Boudreaux, hey man, so if I wanted to make a movie and do it on skateboarding, I was like, would you be willing to executive produce it for me? And Boudreaux's like, dude, you get everything in order for your movie and I'll do that for you. Because I'll buy your equipment, I'll figure it out. And I was like, okay, cool. So then I was like, now I've told two people I got to do it, right? And so I started writing stuff and getting into the whole thing. And Tommy's best friend, or one of his best friends, is Randy McMaster, who's Jason's brother. So Jason did music, Randy did punk rock music, but he skated. And they both skated. Jason skated too. But Randy is the one that he's actually going through brain cancer right now. And he should have had, like, I think 4 years ago, he should have died. And he's still going. So he's teaching his kids to skate and all this stuff. So Tommy's like, let's shoot Randy's first and see where we go from there. So we started with Randy and he shot his interview. And then I put together a little thing that we did last summer where we went on a little tour and we came down here and interviewed people. This was right before that I came down in August. So I had been down here in like July and we were interviewing people and just in all the cities down here. We started in Far, then I came all the way to Brownsville and then we went to Corpus. And we were in Corpus. I was introduced to Jimmy Gonzalez, and he's an old skateboarder, right, old time, and he had cancer as well. And Jimmy was on his way. Where you never knew we were going to get another birthday because he had these big birthday shows in Austin, birthday gigs that he would put together. And everybody would go up. People from here were up there, so everybody would go up to Austin and skate for Jimmy's birthday. And I started getting a feeling like, dude, I'm going to be down here when he goes up to Austin and has that birthday. Oh, we're going to go to Houston. Yeah. So I was like, oh, we're going to go to Houston, but we can always do Houston. I was like, I think we should go back to Austin, shoot Jimmy's birthday. And then his next day, they were going to be at this big half pipe thing in Georgetown. And I said, we can do the 2 days there with Jimmy and we'll figure out Houston later.
And did a lot of people know about his health, his cancer, and that's why they
exactly they did. Wow. And a lot of people down here went up there were for that, and they were like, dude, they were trying to they didn't know what I was thinking, because I was thinking this as a filmmaker. Like, I want to capture that. Everybody thought there's gonna be more, right? But his health was declining a little bit more. He didn't skate that day, so I was like, man, I missed him skating. But we were going over there to go hang out. All the people there was tons of people there, and we went back, and I said, okay, we're gonna hang out with Jimmy on his birthday, do all that, and I'll figure out Houston later, right? So, after that, I interviewed him at the next day at the skate ranch that we went to, and he's awesome, man. He gave us such a good interview, and he always supported us, right? And so there's certain people that didn't know what I was doing. Some people were from down here that were the thing with skating. It's like music. Everybody has their genre. Mm-hmm. So everybody like, no, that's mine. What are you doing in my genre? And I don't skate anymore. So what are you doing in my genre? Mm-hmm. And what are you doing this when you don't skate? But my whole thing was, it's not about skating. It is about skating, but it's about being involved. If you're ever in the skating world, then you know the feeling. You know the feeling of passing it on to the kids. What's cool is when I started this, my daughter started picking up skating. Oh. Yeah, so my daughter Joy started picking up the board and doing stuff on her own. But little by little, I was like, okay, this is working, because she's picking up. My producer, Michael Payton, he's my producer, my main camera guy, my editor. He's not into skating at all. He didn't know anything about skating. And he's like so into like everything that we're doing all the time. So he's like, okay, well, I like this. This is really cool. And I want to know more. I want to know who this guy is. And somebody talked about so-and-so, and we're like, okay. So he's helped me a lot on this. And I was like, where this really took off is people from here were going over there, and they're like, okay, what's this guy doing, right? And then I advertised it. When I dropped the name last year, the Texas Brigade, Surviving the Grind, mm-hmm. I dropped it. My logo is the Thrasher Skateboard logo. Mm. It's the font, right? Okay. So the font for Thrasher Skateboard, because my whole thing, this is a Texas skateboarding movie. Mm-hmm. And the Bones Brigade from California, or no? There was like Tony Hawk was part of the Bones Brigade.
Okay, yes.
And other people that were all involved. Dance Mountain.
It was a group of skateboarders.
They would make movies, and then they would go out and skateboard as a group and compete as a group. And, and they were called the Bones Brigade. Uh-huh. But everything that you told people here in the Valley, like everybody always heard of California, right? Mm-hmm. So when you told somebody, hey man, have you seen what Tony Hawk did? You see what Mike McGill did. But all those tricks were almost always already formed here, but we didn't have the spotlight, right? Oh. So the McTwist was done by somebody out of Dallas, right? And so they could do it too, and they were, so there was different things that were Texas related that would take off and make it big in California, right? Oh. So that's my whole thing is we were California before California, or while California was big, yes. We were doing it too.
Right.
But we were doing it harder and crazier because we weren't in the spotlight. Yeah. Their cameras weren't on us.
Right.
The people coming out to Texas weren't like, oh, let's see what Mark Grosser is gonna do. Let's see what Tom is gonna do. Let's see what Gabriel's gonna do. Like they weren't watching anybody. Mm-hmm. So everybody here was living their life, and that's why here it became really well known that there was a big circle, and you have to pretty much get permission to come in. And I knew that, but I was also part of it too back in the day. Mm-hmm. So when I got Michael to be my producer, Boudreaux and Tommy to be my executive producers, and Chris Gates, that was in a band called the Big Boys that he had merchandise, and they did songs for skating. He was also in Junkyard as a big band, right? So he's my co-producer. He's helped us put a lot of stuff together in the beginning. So we said we're going to announce it as the Texas Brigade, Surviving the Grind. I know a lot of people say it sounds a lot like Gleaming the Cube, right? Surviving the Grind sounds like Gleaming the Cube is an old Christian Slater movie. It's an old Christian Slater movie. and it's all the Bones Brigade are in that movie, right? And someone play, like Mike McGill plays Christian Slater when he's skating freestyle and whatnot. So people are like, he's trying to do like a Gleaming the Cube, or he's trying to do this, and really I wasn't. You know, what I wanted to do was I wanted to show Texas skateboarding. I knew that Jason Fry from here had done a Valley one, and I wasn't gonna go over his shoes with that, right?
Right.
So I was like, no, but Jason Fry's doing one, but it'd be cool to use that footage, right? But Jason Fry had his on hold for a while, and I said, well, you know, whenever he feels like reaching out, whenever he hears more about mine, and I know Jason Fry well, and I said, but like one day he'll reach out to me and see what he can do, and I left him alone, and sure enough, Jason Fry reached out to me 2 weeks ago, and he's like, hey man, so you know, I want let's meet up. I want to help you, you know, and I was like, yes, this is awesome, because there's so much that he got from before I started that would mean a lot right now. And I was like, yes, thank you. So I was like, let's meet up in the next couple of weeks. He's like, yeah, whenever you want, just call me. I'll go pick you up and we'll go talk. We're going to see what you want to do. Like, okay, cool. So a lot of things like that are opening up because I'm back here, I think. And because, like, you know, what am I going to do down here is team up with other filmmakers, right? And what am I going to do with that is I'm going to go back to my movie and see what I can do with this. So when I got sick, Tommy never knew. Tommy and Boudreaux are in Austin. They didn't know what I was. We gotta let him get better. And when he gets better, we'll see what the movie's going to do. But it's on hold for now.
Okay.
And I was like, no, I don't want it to be on hold because we had so much momentum. I'm going to book some interviews, and if you guys can go do it for me, then that's great. So I got Cherry's Wheels, who's a cat from the Valley. She has a wheel company that they make wheels for skateboarding, and so we got her interview in. Then I got Chris Gates interview in, and we got several different people in while I was getting better, right? And one of the things that I liked a lot was they kept it going, and they acted as me, like behind the scenes. So I was like, dude, thank you so much for doing that, because it's still putting stuff out there, right? Even though I can't do it right now. So then I now that I'm better, I've renovated my logo. I made an actual badass logo to put on an awesome logo to put on a backdrop that we're going to have a station at a skate comp on May 9th. So yeah, May 9th there's gonna be a skate competition, and we're gonna have a station there to keep everybody cool. We're gonna pass out cold water and have fans and you know, little things like that, and we're gonna pass out merch. So I mean, we made some cool. Tommy got some cool shirts made for us that we're gonna pass out at the fest while they last, and do stuff like that. I'm also gonna shoot the whole competition. You know, we're sponsoring. I think we're sponsoring a tournament in the fest, right? One of the, like an airwalk something that we're doing with them. And then, you know, people are going to come out and hang out. It's like 6 hours long. So we're going to be filming the entire thing, trying to see who we meet. And then I'm going to close it out on June 22nd on Go Skate Gay. We kicked it off on Go Skate Gay in Austin, but we're going to close it out on Go Skate Day at South Padre. There's a group of girls that is in South, she owns a shop in South Padre, but I'm not sure which shop it is. But they put a fest together for Go Skate Day, and but I'm going to interview all of them and kind of do a thing here, and then we're going to go into edit. So,
and when is Go Skate Day?
June 22nd.
June 22nd.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I always remember because my good friend Manny's birthday. But yeah, it's June 22nd. Go Skate Day is going to kick off. That's when we're going to be here shooting the end of the movie. And then we're going to be in edit, probably scan a bunch of photos, flyers, and hopefully be done by fall.
Wow.
Yeah.
No. Well, so far I'm amazed. I mean, I have never set foot on a skateboard, except perhaps maybe a penny board that a buddy lent to me during college.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And I just went on it for like 3 meters. but let me tell you what I most enjoy about your story, John. When you were talking about your film about what was it called, the back room?
Bloody and Bruised, the Untold story of the back room.
There we go. Your the stroke was more of a behind the scenes entity of sorts that was kind of getting in your way of showing up to the film festival in Athens. But then when you're making your skateboard documentary here, you are not afraid to show that there's also things going on behind the people featured there. So I kind of like that duality of how health plays a role in what you do.
Exactly. And it turned out that the director got hit with something too, you know?
Oh my God.
So we get to show that. Like I'm going to be in the interviews because this happened while we were making this movie, you know? So, you know, we're going to show something that has to do with that. But yeah, I become part of the story and, you know, wanted to or not, but it happened. Right. So, that's when it took a full turn. That's when we're like, dude, this happened. Chris got sick recently and so just passed away. And now it's taking a whole different turn.
Right.
And surviving the grind is literally surviving the grind, you know? So will we make it to the end of it? I think so, man. But that's going to be, that's my hope, you know? When I went back to get my 6 month checkup, this was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
They got it all. It went away, but the little stem that they left behind, it grew a new one.
Oh.
And it's not as big. It's like the size of your thumb.
Okay.
So it's like a little gadget that's in my brain that's still an AVM. So, and it can bleed anytime. But he's like, dude, you have plenty of time because what you're doing it right. I can't be in heat for too long. I can't do weights to where, because I do a lot of weights and stuff, especially I couldn't move my right arm. So I started lifting hand weights to get mobility in my right arm because I have to write. I just recently started writing again, but I couldn't write at all. Like I couldn't do anything. So I started doing that, and he's like, you can't do anything that puts pressure in your brain.
Okay.
So there's some little kettlebell things that I can't do anymore, but there's a lot that I still can. And he's like, but you have time, but then again, you know, he can't tell me for sure. You know, he's like, none of us really have time, but we have all the time in the world to make a decision. What he said was, he recommended, and he does what was it, angioplasty that goes through their vein, right? And so he went up in my vein, and they put a dye in my brain, and they saw the way the blood flowed, and he's like, even though I do that system, is I want to recommend a radiation to just zap it, because he's like, I can go in right here and I can get all these little things and cut it out easy. I have easy access, but all those little veins that are connected, either one of them could be your speech, your mobility, your you know, that controls my arms, my legs. It could be anything. So he's like, I think you should go get the radiation where it can zap it. They do it from the outside, and but the thing is with that, he's like, it can take up to 3 years to see if it's gone, which means every year we go in and get an angioplasty. They could check, and it could not, but more than likely it will. More than likely it'd be sooner, right? But then it would get it all in one. It wouldn't affect my speech. He's like, dude, you come so far, because when you saw me, I couldn't talk.
I see.
And yeah, I went to speech therapy. I thank my wife Elizabeth Jew for getting me speech therapy with RGV, because I got there and they were ready for anything. Because when she called when I first came out of the hospital, and I was talking like a She said you were talking like an infant.
Oh.
Like I couldn't really say anything. And when I got there, I had already practiced enough and tried to get myself going that I got there like, dude, you don't need to be coming in here anymore. Like we can give you a study at home book. And so that's what I took home, and I was making sounds and all kinds of fun. My daughter laughs still because I'll be making funny. I still have to I have to be able to hear myself. So I had to download an app that would show how much decibels are coming in.
Okay.
And I have to go like say a thing and be that loud. And I have to say tongue twisters.
Oh, okay.
And it was crazy. I couldn't say bloody and bruised like maybe a month ago. I would get stuck. And then when I first met you, I was like, hey, I know the Brownsville guy. I couldn't think of his name and I couldn't say it.
Oh.
You're like, what? And like, I know the Brownsville, and you're like, oh, Craig? Okay.
Yeah, Craig.
and I don't look like anything's wrong with me. So nobody, you probably thought like, oh, that guy's weird, man. And so when I went back in and picked up the books that my daughter had ordered, I made small talk, but I always follow you on social media and stuff. And I was like, man, like it all came out wrong. I wanted to talk so much, but I couldn't.
Oh.
Gabriel knows, like I talk a lot, but I couldn't talk. And that's the thing. When I went through this, I told my wife, I looked at Elizabeth and I said, she's like, how do you feel with what you have? And I said, I've already talked a lot. I already talked enough. And I joked because I said, I've already talked enough. If I can't talk, I never stressed out. I never got bummed out. I got bummed out recently because I was hoping that it'd be gone. But I mean, there's always, I'm here for a reason, right? I came back home for a reason. And yeah, so that's my story.
Wonderful. To our listeners who are just tuning in, we are in conversation in Brownsville Matters with John Robert Jew Jr., who is a local independent film producer and director. I wanted to ask, since also to our listeners who are maybe on the road or who are just listening to our audio, John is currently wearing a shirt with some of Hollywood's most classic monsters. We have Frankenstein's monster, we have Dracula, and a couple others, the Mummy. Has film always played a part in your life growing up? Was it something more recent? How would you describe your relationship with film?
My entire life. I was, when I was little, I would watch a lot of horror movies when I was little because my father at the time, when I would go to his house, he'd watch a lot of that stuff, right? So I learned Nightmare on Elm Street. I learned The Exorcist at a young age. So I was always involved with horror. And of course, the Night Stalker was big in my life, right? So Night Stalker was back in the day, and all these guys, especially like the comedians. Who are the two guys? Not Laurel Hardy.
Abbott and Costello.
Abbott and Costello.
Yes.
With all these guys, like they do such a huge setup with all them Hollywood monsters, and Hollywood monsters have always been huge, and I love Bela Lugosi, and one of my favorite movies is actually Ed Wood. That's based on he did a movie with Bela Lugosi. He was, and recently I saw The Bride. That was pretty good. That was really cool. I loved that movie because the way she portrayed the bride is awesome. Like, have you never seen it?
No, not yet.
That's a really good one because you have to just see it from the outside, and it's just the bride. It takes on a whole different character in real life, basically, right? But yeah, I watched movies all my life. Everything that you can think of, I've seen it, and yeah, horror is a huge moment in my life that I'll go into do horror anytime.
Yes, I am a horror fan myself.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not as well versed in horror, but I'm the type of guy that will sit down with a big bucket of popcorn, and I will happily watch something, especially if it has more substance than scares.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes you can watch a horror movie that just came out and they'll try to jump scare you every 5 minutes. But no, I want something with actual story, something with in a recent example that I consider a top shelf movie is Hereditary, directed by Ari Aster. Oh
exactly.
my!
That's a really
gosh.
good one.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, I like Weapons a lot too.
Oh, I get to see Weapons.
You have to see Weapons.
I have to see
Weapons has won people over that think that they're just like, nah, it looks like a kid movie. It looks.
Mm-hmm.
Weapons is really well done,
Mm-hmm.
and so I like both. I like campy horror, and I like
Yeah, it
and I
can be
like-
fun. It can be fun.
and I saw something.
Wait, what's it about then?
Okay, so it's all audio, right? So it's actually about a podcast. So and this is cool because so in Austin, I was a huge fan, and I think the guy is from here, and it's called The Night Owl, right? And if you haven't heard it, every episode he goes and explores a house in Austin that's haunted, and then he has a medium that goes with them. Then they do. So in that show, there's a 3-parter, right? That's crazy, right? And so I was huge on that, but I can't listen to it at night because at night when I stay up alone, I'm the last one that's awake. So this was in Austin, right? So I was like, oh, okay, I'll listen to it on the road, right? Well, in this movie, they have a 10-parter that takes over, that's sent to them, right? So they're handling this one story. I need to know the name of the movie. What is it called? So it's all based on audio, and you're listening to the story as she's listening to the story.
Okay.
A guy lives in another town, I think, and I want to say he lives in London, and then they're calling each other at night. So she's awake like at 3 a.m, listening to his version of the story, and he's telling her what comes through an email that he got. And then it turns out later that the email didn't pop up, and that it didn't have a registered home, but the entire movie, it's tricking you because it goes into like you think it's gonna be a jump scare. She takes care of her mom, and her mom's looking the other way, and you think she's gonna open her eyes, but every now and then, stuff just happens in the movie it puts it out there. It makes you think of what could have happened. And puts you in the same story as some people liked it, some people didn't. Some people thought it was. I didn't like that they didn't give it an ending. And Undertone.
Undertone is the name of the
Undertone.
Okay, just say that name of so I can plug it in.
Sure. So the movie's called Undertone, and it's about a podcast like this, but it's a 3-part episode, a 10-part episode that takes over the movie. And there's scenes that have her turn over. Have the mom turn over while she's cleaning the bed or whatever. So you think she's gonna like open her eyes, but nothing ever happens. Well, I won't tell you that. Sorry. You gotta see the movie.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so it's
no spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. Don't post that. But it's really cool because it's all based on sound because it's called Undertone.
Yes.
But the camera work, you want to see. It gives you things to look at when you're not looking at the direct person in the shot. You see over here, you see over here, and you're like, something's gonna come out there, something's gonna come out over here, and sometimes it does, So it's really well done. I like it.
Wonderful. Hey, John, I also wanted to ask to also talk about the professional side of filmmaking, since you are making your directorial debut very soon. What would you say is the differences and similarities of being a producer and being a director?
That's a funny question because it has a lot. Directing has a lot to do with visual, right? So you have to know the camera, you have to know all that everything. Which and I have a DP, Boudreaux was an Emmy award-winning filmmaker, and he's really well knows everything that has to do with film. So I was under Boudreaux's hand, learning things as we went along for years, and still do, right? So, and like, for instance, we made. If you look at my IMDb page, I have a ton of music videos that we do, right? So music videos are like short stories, right? That's what we both agree that they are, and so every video has a different perspective, right? So I would see how he did things, and it has to do with the feel. You feel the people you're going to make a video for, then you feel what you're going to do and what you want to put to it, then you combine your stuff with their stuff, right? And directing, it's the same way. You have that call. You can make that decision. You can say, I want this. I don't want that guy. And producing, you're doing everything that you can to bring everything that he wants, where he can you can use a certain topic, not use this or whatever, but you're just doing everything to give him options.
Okay.
And the director, you're taking those options and making it work, right? And that's kind of like the difference. Everybody's different, but that's the way I learned it with Boudreaux is I kind of learned like people will do stuff for you that you need to give you options, and you get to pick and choose and make it happen. So that's one way to put it, but.
Cool. Yeah, because I've always wondered exactly like what a producer does.
And Boudreaux's, in Boudreaux's terms, he has a long producer background because he a director background because he has all this stuff, and he does film, he does the editing, he does almost everything that has to do. So I have a lot to learn, but in a short essence is I can take all that stuff and pick and choose what I want to use. And what I know now. I see. In the future, hopefully I can learn a little bit more, and it takes time, but yeah, you can totally do something. I also wanted to mention that with Brownsville, Cine Soul is a film fest that happens in the Valley, and is really well known in McAllen and South Padre, and my good friend Henry runs that, and Edie helps him, and we do. That's where we brought Bloody and Bruised 2 years ago, and then last year I was a judge on there. And what I'm doing this year is for all you Valley people that own businesses or whatnot, we're taking sponsorships to try and broaden the Brownsville aspect of the film fest. So we're having people like, if you just send me an email, because we have sponsorships that go with an ad like on a flyer, or we can put you on the program, or we can get your logo printed on a t-shirt. There's different aspects and different packages to do. So I would say just shoot me an email at johnjew@pennyrockproductions.com, and we're doing sponsorship for that.
John Jew at Penny Rock Productions.
And that way, what we're trying to do is make it bigger in Brownsville, because what happened last year is it was at the college, and it was really well done, and that was probably my favorite one that I've seen. And he wants more people to sponsor it in Brownsville because they're new in this area. It's always, everybody hears it like, oh, it's in McAllen, but it's in Brownsville too. Okay. And it's Brownsville recently. So yeah, so this will be a Brownsville Film Fest.
And this is amazing because, this show is sponsored by the Brownsville Society of the Performing Arts, and it valuing creativity. I think that our listeners will definitely be on the lookout for the Cine Soul Film Festival.
For sure.
Yeah, because it's local talent on a small big screen here in the area.
And it's really well done. They put on a really good fest. It's been around for years and years. Like I want to say 30 some years. And but it's always been in McAllen. It's always been a South Padre. It's always been away from Brownsville. But now that it's here, it's more like home. And getting more people here in Brownsville to be a part of it, and that way they can have it here more often.
For sure.
They just did their first ever, I want to say, little meetup, and that's when I was in Austin for a film fest. So I couldn't attend, but the Brownsville Film Commission is huge here now, and it's trying to get bigger. And you saw the film commercials over by the bookstore, and but there's different things that the Brownsville Film Commission helps you do, and they're really good to be a part of, especially if you want to see what's going on, where, when you want to do acting or whatever. So.
Yeah, and then it's my understanding that they are in contact with several properties, some of which are historic, which people in the area or from outside the area can use to shoot
commercials,
a short movie, or whatever. Yes. Yeah.
Is yours commercial or no? Is yours just historical?
Oh no, I'm just aware.
No, but I was just curious if the bookstore was historical.
Yes, it's a historic building.
Okay.
Now it's not in the list, but I'm aware that
but
it happens. but I'll gladly put it on the list.
No, yeah. I have an idea for a bookstore later that I like. Oh, my sister's a huge fan. She lives in Austin, but she's from here too. And she's like, when you meet Gilbert, tell him I'm a huge fan. I follow him on Facebook. She's a huge reader since we were kids. But yeah, she follows you too. So.
Oh, very good. John, who do you credit the most to make you the man you are today?
Ooh, man. Let me think about that one because I know the answer, and the answer is my grandfather, and he was. There's so many things that if you don't know me, like you don't follow me on Facebook or whatever, I do a lot of cooking. My grandfather owned a restaurant. He owned two restaurants, one on Levy and one on St. Francis. And because of my grandfather, I got to meet a lot of Mexican film people, right? So there's a movie at my grandfather's, the number 2, right? It's called D&D Cafe number 2. That was on Levy, and it's right in front of the new, that renovated hotel. What's it called?
The El Jardín? Or?
Yeah, is that the big one?
Yeah,
That's next. Okay. Yeah. So the Mexican twin brothers, they were actors. I forgot their name. And I lost my Spanish with my.
Oh, okay.
I used to speak perfect Spanish. I can understand it, but I can't speak it anymore.
Okay.
And he said that's a textbook. The doctor said, dude, I can't say anything. I can do it. Like I can try, but it comes out all messed up, dude. My wife speaks better Spanish than me right now, and she's not Hispanic. But anyway, the Mexican twins were. There's a movie called Gatilleros del Rio Bravo. And yes, De Armada. And one of them's an FBI agent, and one of them's a bad guy.
Okay.
And so the bad guy, I want to say, is up on top of the Jardín, and he's pointing at my grandfather's restaurant.
What?
And the other brother is in there, and my mom comes out and serves him. And then they shoot something that breaks, like a fake light.
Yes.
They redid the light or whatever.
Right.
And he misses, but there's so many things that like back roads just shot my grandfather's behind in the alley when it came down with Tommy Lee Jones. And so I was always like into movie making, cooking, working hard. He worked restaurants all day, and then he was a deputy at night here in Cameron County. And then he owned the bar. He owned that bar that's across from the Kraken.
Oh, okay.
He owned that when it was first a bar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he owned that little bar, and he did so much, man. He owned the taxi company, and but I miss my grandfather a bunch. And he died when I was in Austin already, and I came down for his thing. But I think he's the reason.
Yeah.
He's the reason I'm still here, because it happened in my grandmother's house. So I always want to say that, you know, everybody that my great grandmother's dead too, and I feel like it happened to me at my grandmother's house because they were there to help me. But it could have happened anywhere else. It could have been any time. I could have been in Athens. I could have been the next day at the meetup that I had, the scouting job. You know, I had so many things that I was doing. There's so many times I was out of town, and I was in LA so much, like that year before that, and it could have happened anywhere, but it happened at my grandmother's. Oh, one more thing I want to say about that. So it turns out that in Harlingen, that's the network. They have like the huge network for AVMs, right? So my doctor's from Ethiopia, and he comes every now and then over here. So I didn't know this. I didn't know what AVM was. I never heard of it before. But he has this whole system for this, and he was in Ethiopia teaching people. He was going to leave 2 days after he did surgery on me to Ethiopia.
I see.
And people get starflighted from accidents, or from when they have something that happened in Dallas or Austin or Houston, they get starflighted to Harlingen. So I was right next to the main place for this.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Wow.
So like and that's why my wife said, no, we're moving there.
Yes.
Because I want you to be around that care for at least for the first year or two.
And you're getting a specialist from the other side of the world.
That was about to leave 2 days after my surgery.
Whoa.
Yeah. And he left, and he came back this summer, but or not this summer, the spring. we came for spring break, and that's when he did my AVM.
I see.
My angioplasty that I had. But yeah, dude, and people all over Texas get starlighted here because it's the main place for AVMs.
I had no idea.
I had no idea either.
Huh.
Until I went through it.
And you had the privilege of being next door.
Yeah, like exactly. And that's what they
door.
said. They said, you got here with it just fast enough because I never, so basically it bled and it never got further than it had to because they took care of me quite quick. If you're somewhere else, they got to keep you, then they got to star fly you. So there's so many things that get really stressful, right?
Okay.
But because I stayed cool and calm and it was the next day I did this surgery and it never bled further in me and because some people, I mean, they can lose their speech for their entire life, you know?
Right.
So I was the right place, the right time.
Yeah.
And I say
In the right city.
It's the right city, dude. I would have never thought of that. I would
The
have never.
right doctor who was just about to leave.
Yeah, dude. And I wouldn't. That's one thing. Like you didn't know what you have until you come back home and you see what you have, right?
Right.
So yeah, and I'm right next to the care. So yeah, if the one I have now, something were to happen, I know that I'm right next door. It won't, and I'll get the radiation hopefully by June or July by the time I'm done with the movie. And but yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to it. It's funny because narratives, like we started with a narrative movie. Going into narratives, I've been talking to a good friend of mine named Mando Gutierrez, and he does coaching around here. But he wrote a book based on our childhood. So I lived in apartments with a bunch of friends that are still friends of mine, and we're all in this group chat. And he wrote this book that he hopefully wants me to. It's written like Stand By Me.
Okay.
And Stand By Me came out in theaters too. I went to go see it, but yeah, he wrote. That's all there is to do here, right? Go to the movies. Yeah, I've been to movies like every week almost, but yeah, he wrote a book that he wants me to kind of read through and see what I can do on it, and I'm excited about that. I don't know if I'll do a narrative anytime soon, but if I stay here, that'll probably be one of the things I work on.
Wonderful. All right, John. Final question.
Okay.
I'm actually very curious to hear what you have to say about this one. It's the same final question I give to everyone.
Okay.
Suppose you're entering a giant auditorium, coliseum, arena, however you want to call it, with a capacity of 200,000 people, which is the population of Brownsville, Texas. Each and every one of those seats is filled by each and every member of our community. You're walking down the middle with a microphone in your hand, and you're given 1 or 2 minutes to say something. What would your message be to the whole population of Brownsville, Texas, all at once?
Okay. Like I said, you don't know what you have until you come back home. So, you don't know what you had until you come back home, and you can leave for a little bit, but like Jason Fry put this on a shirt that says, you can get Brownsville out of me, but you never get the Mexican. So something like that, right?
Yeah, like,
but
you can get the Mexican out of like Brownsville. You can get the
yeah, there's a saying.
I've heard of it as you can get the boy out of Texas, but you can't get the Texas out of the boy. So, there we go. But to Brownsville.
But so I'll change it. So you don't know what you have until you leave and come back. Right?
There you go.
But yeah, but there's a lot here, man. And we came down. I brought I have 5 kids, and 4 of them are old, and they all moved out of the house already before this happened. Had this happened before, and I don't know what I would have done because we couldn't move. So I have my daughter here does it. She's loving it here. So you can leave, but you'll always come back because you realize what you have when you leave, and when you come back, there's going to be more because all of us are coming back, and all of us are bringing more. So just hang tight. And it may, like I said, as all there is to do here is movies. But dude, I fill up my gas tank once every 6 weeks, a month and a half with a full gas tank. Like I could go and fill it and wait a month and a half later because there isn't that much to do, but the slowness and the peace, dude, there's no traffic. There's never traffic. And I love it. I mean, the only traffic is Pablo Kissel turning on Morrison.
Right.
And that's it.
That's it. Yeah, that's North
but
Brownsville.
there's no traffic. And we used to go, like, I go from here to McAllen, and people are like, going all the way to McAllen before we had Dave's Hot Chicken. We go to McAllen.
Uh-huh.
And dude, we used to go that far to go downtown and take even longer to get back. So it's not far, but yeah. So here's what it is. You don't know what you have until you go and come back. And when you have it, you'll admire it more.
Yes.
So yes, leave because you feel like you have to, because you don't know yourself in the future, but you'll be back. And when you come back, you'll be a different person and you'll accept it.
Yes. That's wonderful. I entirely resonate with that, having lived 4 years in Massachusetts myself, and then coming back with a new set of eyes of admiration and wonder of this beautiful hometown that we have here on the border. It's there's nothing else like it in the United States of America, and it's such a blessing that we're all here in Brownsville and filled with wonderful people like you who add value to our community through film, through documentaries, and all that you do. John Robert Jew Jr., thank you for joining us today on Brownsville Matters.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And that's a wrap.
This is Michael Quantz with the Brownsville Society for the Performing Arts, here to tell you about our podcast, Brownsville Matters. Everyone in Brownsville has a story to tell, and these are the stories. We broadcast these stories every Friday at 5 p.m. and every Sunday at 3 p.m. on KXIQ 105.1 FM on your radio dial. You can also catch these stories rebroadcast on our YouTube channel for Brownsville Society for the Performing Arts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and smash the notifications if you want more information about these stories that you watch and listen to.